The Samsung Z Fold 8 Ultra is taller, longer, and $2,099, which is $200 more than the regular, shorter, wider Fold 8 that we tested earlier. This is the premiumest phone that Samsung makes, and this year it's 0.1 millimeters thinner than last year. Today we're going to find out if that 0.1 millimeters makes any difference for durability. So far, these foldy boys have defied the laws of physics, but eventually something has to break. Right off the bat, the $2,099 smartphone comes with quite the catalog of caveats. Again, no pressing on the screen too hard, make sure there's nothing inside when the phone gets shut. It's not dust resistant, only protected against fresh water, and most importantly, the center protective film on the inner screen is not to be removed ever. And of course, keep the magnets away from any implantable medical devices, but we'll have to test that one out later. It is shockingly thin though, 0.4 millimeters thinner than the wider regular Fold 8 that we already tested, and it will be interesting to see how far behind Apple is in the folding game when they release their folding phone here in a few months. It's rumored that the Apple folding phone will be nearly the same dimensions as the regular Fold 8, wider, stockier, passport style. And of course, you'll get to see its outsides and insides right here on this channel as soon as it comes out, so make sure you're subscribed. Let's start with the exterior display. Surprisingly, this 6.5-inch cover screen only costs $149, meaning it's rather cheap to replace if it ever breaks. The inner folding screen, however, is a whole different ballgame, but we'll get to that in a second. The only thing you need to know right now is that the cover screen is made with Gorilla Glass Ceramic 3, and we see very faint scratches at a level 6 with deeper grooves at a level 7. Popping the Z Fold 8 Ultra open to the middle screen, this is where all the magic happens, but it's also where most of the damage happens. And yes, your eyes don't deceive you, even the Fold 8 Ultra, the most ultraist of folding phones, scratches at a level 2 with deeper grooves at a level fingernail. Just something to be aware of. Screen taps with the pad of your finger will always be fine, but no hard objects whatsoever should ever touch the center screen, and never set it face down on anything. I just realized my phone is green. I forgot what I ordered. The green shadow variant is definitely sneaky, and it has removable buttons. The top of the phone has more armor aluminum, some noise-canceling microphone holes, and a loudspeaker slit. We'll see if these are watertight here in a second. The removable SIM card tray has a gray rubber ring. The Fold 8 Ultra is IP48 water and dust resistant, and hopefully jerry-rig resistant, but that remains to be seen. The bottom has another loudspeaker opening, as well as our lower USB-C 3.2 port that can charge at 45 watts. It's a whole 20-watt improvement over last year's charging speed, thumbs up for that. The greenishly black back panel is still made from glass, except there's an extra camera lens on this big phone. Our 50-megapixel ultra-wide camera is up top, the 200-megapixel main camera is in the center, and the 10-megapixel telephoto camera is down at the bottom. The camera plateau itself is made from plastic, just like on the regular Fold 8, and the glass camera lenses are all pretty simple to remove. They won't come off on their own, that's for sure, but it's good to know if they do break, a regular person can perform the repair. As you can see, the telephoto and main cameras both have optical image stabilization, while the upper wide-angle camera does not. Pretty normal. And since 2026 is turning out to be the hottest year since humans ever walked the earth, my burn test is becoming depressingly more relevant. The inner screen lasted 9 seconds before going black and not recovering, and the exterior screen, thanks to its much thicker slab of glass, lasted 1 more second longer before getting permanently wrecked. It's probably around this point where you're like, hey Jerry, did you forget the dust test? And no, I did not. Folding phones all get the same treatment, and most survive. Not the Pixel Fold, but everyone else usually comes out the other side in one piece. Usually. You would be hard-pressed to get your phone more dirtier than this. Maybe if it slid off your towel at the beach, or maybe it falls from your pocket into the litter box. But rest assured, the hinge does grind quite a bit when dust gets inside. But the inner screen is still very much intact and still alive. And staying alive is what matters. No complaints so far. But what happens if you accidentally put your Fold 8 Ultra on the sofa next to you and your sumo wrestling opera singing uncle comes in for a chat? Bending and bending the Fold 8 Ultra backwards until nothing happens. Literally insane. I have no words. It should not be possible for this ultra big, ultra thin phone to survive. One more time, let's go. It's the second bend, however, that the inner display unceremoniously pieces out. It'll rejoin us for a flash of a split second here and there, but something is definitely wrong with the inner display now. Kind of like a flicker of light at the end of a long dark tunnel, or Gen Z's dopamine receptors. I'm just kidding, all of our brains are equally toasted. It turns out that it costs a whopping $639 to replace this inner screen. I should have checked on that beforehand. My mistake is rather expensive. A bigger mistake, though, is paying too much for your smartphone plan. While I take this folding screen off, let me save you some money with today's sponsor, Tello. Tello is able to take unlocked phones like this Fold 8 Ultra or other eSIM compatible devices and add them to the least expensive smartphone plans I've ever seen, starting at literally just $5 a month. Or if you want unlimited everything, it's just $25 a month, 50 gigs of which are high speed. And that includes 10 gigs worth of hotspotting, free Wi-Fi calling, free international calls to 60 different countries, and they even have international roaming. It's wild. Getting 4 and 5G coverage without the wallet-crushing price tag is getting the old dopamine receptors flashing again. And cool enough, the phone is even green under the screen. Very interesting. You can usually keep your own phone and phone number when you switch to Tello. There's no long-term commitments or contracts, just how we like it. Link is down in the description. Now, when Samsung mentioned in their Unpacked event that there's a new flexible titanium structure support layer under the center crease, I thought it was going to be something new. But it turns out it's actually the same thing Samsung had in last year's Fold 7, and again very similar to what they had in the Fold 3 and Fold 2. So I guess I was just expecting something new, but nope, these titanium fishnets are doing all the supporting under the crease. With the center fold line revealed on the inside, we can also confirm now that the taller Fold 8 Ultra has 4 of those modular hinge segments, where the shorter Fold 8 only had 3. We'll have to see if Samsung is reusing the hinge segments across models here in a second. It would probably be wise of us to turn the phone off at this point, since he is technically still alive, but let's let him watch the front screen removal by himself while he's awake, just for fun. I'll use some heat, a suction cup, and an ultra-thin pry tool, just so we can see if Samsung has any cooling system set up for the Fold 8 Ultra's processor. The cool thing about my channel is that I've got a high-resolution database of the insides of every mainstream smartphone for the past 14 years, a decade and a half. Someone who's really bored could go back and see the insides of every Samsung Fold variant ever made, all 8 generations. And sometimes I'm even good at taking things apart. Congrats to myself for getting the exterior screen off in one piece. Nailed it. Now we can put him back to sleep and unplug the still functional exterior screen. The back glass panel comes off now as well, using the same super hot heat gun and ultra-thin pry tool. With the glass fully gone, we finally have access to all the internal circuitry, which looks rather glorious. Personally, I think all phones look better with their insides on their outsides. There's a total of 39 screws holding down various ribbon connections, including a new upgraded wireless charging coil. This guy can now charge at 20 watts instead of 15. The USB-C port ribbon also curves around that wireless charging pad to help save space and keep the phone thin. Samsung says there is a new dual-path charging architecture in here, so both batteries can get juice simultaneously, but it looks like those dual paths still route through the main motherboard, since that's where the single charging port ribbon plugs in first. The ribbon has a red rubber ring around the port opening. We also have our haptic feedback motor at the lower edge of the phone near the center crease. The stereo loudspeaker on the lower right side of the phone is nice enough this time to give us a transparent window into where the balls are at. Do you think the blue ball window is worth the $200 upgrade? Probably not. The upper loudspeaker also has the same blue ball window where the regular Fold 8 does not. With the single SIM card tray removed, I can pull out the 10 megapixel cover screen camera. This guy does not have any optical image stabilization. We can pull out the long, thin daughter board here on the right side of the phone. It rests next to the super tall silicon carbon battery. Funny enough, the battery has a blue pull tab on the lower half, but the battery itself is so long that it starts to bend when I pull it, so I added some isopropyl alcohol under the battery to help dissolve the adhesive and keep things from exploding. It doesn't say silicon carbon anywhere, but we do have a 2560 mAh capacity. The smaller second battery comes out next. This time the pull tab worked as intended, and this guy has 2440 mAh, giving us a total of 5000. The motherboard comes out next, with its 3 cameras still attached, and I'm rather shocked that there's literally no cooling system inside of this Fold 8 Ultra. No graphite, no copper, just a bit of thermal paste splattered onto the anodized aluminum frame. It's not even bare aluminum. For reference, bare aluminum has a watts per meter Kelvin of around 200, and a graphite pad has a watts per meter Kelvin of 700, while a copper vapor chamber starts at about 5000. It's pretty wild that the processor in here doesn't get more assistance. Samsung's probably really hoping that nobody uses their Ultra phone for anything Ultra. There's some graphite on the back side of the aluminum to help move heat out through the screen, but every phone has one of these, and Samsung's processor is still very much alone. Finally, to get the final verdict on the hinge vertebrae modularity, I'm going to remove 22 more screws. For those keeping track at home, we are currently at 61. This allows the 2 watertight halves of the phone to separate, leaving the center spine behind with its 4 independent vertebrae, which help the folding mechanism fold. I'll remove 10 more Phillips head screws, bringing our total to 71. And here they are. 4 identical hinge components. Just for fun, I'll grab one of the hinges from my regular Fold 8, and at first glance it does look the same, but it's actually slightly wider, meaning that the hinge components are not interchangeable or compatible across different folding phones. I'm sure the basic science and structure and engineering are all the same, but as you can clearly see, the 3 Fold 8 hinges are slightly bigger than the 4 Fold 8 Ultra hinges. It's just a fun little fact that you can now bring up at parties, you know? What will make you really fun at parties, though, is my teardown skin, where you can see the insides of your smartphone on the outsides. This is last year's Fold 7 design, obviously, but by the time you're watching this, we will have updated the skin design to the realistic internals of the Fold 8, just like we do for every mainstream device, laptop and tablet. And you can save money on your smartphone plan with Tello. That link's down there as well, and thanks a ton for watching. I'll see you around.